show you a little bit about in-context help, as Jill was saying. We're going to show you how that can save you some time and money for your business. And I'd like to also thank Fpweb for having us here today. So the slide here that you're seeing is from the AIM Industry Watch from February 2015, a study that's called Connecting and Optimizing SharePoint. It had a lot of data points around the rollout, deployment, and adoption rates of both SharePoint and Office 365. And this one kind of stuck out for us, looking at SharePoint and how people use it. So, you know, companies roll out software all the time, and the study showed that 52%, so over half of all users in the world who are using SharePoint receive no training or a plan on how to actually use the software that they're expected to use every day for their jobs. So if you want to go to the next slide. That's kind of a big number, right? So it's a pretty big number in the world for folks to have no training and no plan. So basically, sometimes you got a cute panda, and you also have an adoption checklist where SharePoint folks who do roll out do it right? You've got vision and business use cases that have been defined. You have a phased rollout. You have planned communication, a training and support plan. You build excitement. So, you know, out of that 52%, you know, there are folks who are doing it right in the workplace, right? But a lot of times it doesn't matter because you are still humans forget things, right? We learn in different ways, we learn at different rates, and so, you know, the way that we're exposed to and absorb information is a little bit different. So I want to look into a little bit of a use case of a day in the life of a SharePoint user and see if we can figure out how in-context help might help. Here we have someone here who's near and dear to my heart as a marketer, Beth, who is our marketing manager. She's a world-class marketer. She uses SharePoint every day with her teams, and she has gone in the morning and she needs to share a new view of documents with her sales team. It's not something that she does every day. She sits there and she says, oh, you know what, I cannot remember how to do this. So the question in her mind that pops up is a question for everybody, that is, how do I do this? Right? So what does she do? She goes over and she says, well, you know what? I'm going to go see if I can find this information. So she types into Bing the question, and she searches for an answer. So you guys on the phone, do you think she's going to find that piece of help content that is relevant, accurate, expert, and up to date the first time? Let's see. Well, let's look at the first list here. Add and remove a document library. Nope, that has nothing to do with an actual view. Add new document button. Nope. 2010. Nope, that's not the version I'm on. None of these are actually accurate, expert, up to date. So what happens? How does Beth feel about this? She's great at her job, right? She's using SharePoint for a long time, but you know what? There's these tasks that you forget to do, right? She just needs to add a new view. Why is it so hard to get the answer? So what does she do now? She sends an email to her SharePoint admin help support person, Bill. She types in, hey Bill, you know, sorry to bother you, but I just cannot remember how to create this new view for my document library in SharePoint. I've clicked the help button in SharePoint, the out of the box, I've done a search. I didn't want to waste any more time, so I thought I'd email. Can you help me? So Bill gets the email.
So I'm going to play the part of Bill. My name's Simeon Cathy, aka Bill this morning. I'm a great SharePoint admin. I've been doing SharePoint for a long time. I've taken the time to roll out to my organization by providing some communication, some in-person training. I've even gone an extra step and taken some of the governance work we've done and some of the topics that I think make a lot of sense, and I put them in a wiki. But still, I'm getting these emails from people, even from the CEO of the company, saying, gosh, hey, can you help me do this? I can't remember how to do this. It's taken me a lot of time. I love helping people, but I've put in all this effort, and if I could just get all of this work I've done and kind of put it right where users want it, right where they need it, in context, that would be really the holy grail for me. So what does in context mean? And how does it SharePoint? Or sorry, how does it simplify how people use SharePoint? You know, context is really important. Without context, we just have dots of pieces of information floating around in our head. But as soon as you connect the dots to something meaningful, all of a sudden that content has a much bigger impact on what you're doing. So we want to show you a quick demo of how in-context thinking works. And so I'm just going to jump right into a SharePoint site. And we're on a dev, we're in the Microsoft dev program, so we're on a dev platform. Let's hope that it's being responsive this morning. And we've built out this kind of corporate intranet demo. And I want to go through the use case that Heather just spoke about with Beth, where Beth needs to figure out how to share a view of her marketing library with the sales team. So I'm going to go over to our sales and marketing site here. This is where Beth does most of her work. I'm going to click on campaign documents because she's rolling out a new campaign. And when I'm here, and instead of having to send that email, waiting for a reply, you'll notice that there's a little Panda here on the right-hand side of the screen. Content Panda is for Office 365 and SharePoint 2013 on-prem. And it works the same in both cases. So when Beth's here, instead of going and searching, she can just click on this number 12 or the Panda face here. The 12 meaning that there's 12 items on this page that have help content in context. So you can see those areas light up in light blue, and then the Panda peeking from behind. Well, now Beth can click or tap on any one of these pandas and find relevant help content. In this case, let's take a look at the left navigation. I've got a link here that tells me how to use that. That's not helpful in this particular context. Here's this document library. Let's click here, and this says I can manage some views. Well, what Content Panda does in this Panda panel here is it gives a title of what this is, how to manage views. You can use views to see items in a list or library. Beth already knows that. This content was brought to us by Support Plus, one of our content partners who's built a bunch of training and a bunch of, they're the #1 SharePoint and Office 365 training company out there. And some of their content is right here at Beth's fingertips. She wants to create a new view, so she just clicks and dives right into the learning experience. Without having to send that email or do any searching, she can go right in and read the step-by-step instructions or watch a step-by-step video. And these videos, what's nice is they're little bite-sized videos. This one here is 2 minutes long, and it walks through step-by-step, and she can put this side-by-side with her SharePoint environment and move on. There's also computer-based training modules here, so she can take a deeper dive when she has extra time. But for right now, Beth just wants to get this particular work done. Now, the other thing that Content Panda does is it passes curated search terms into Bing's web service. And you can see here, 2 of the top results have come back. Now, Beth didn't quite know what to search for before, and she got some really odd results. But maybe she wants to learn how to search better. So if she clicks more results, she could have either gone directly to those topics, or she can go, do a little more. Now, if Beth wanted to get a little bit crazy and become a developer, she could, of course, just take the words we've already provided and add to those and do a little deeper dive on the search side. But what we find that most people love and use are the videos. We have inline videos right directly to the point.
So
here's a video
that
that is 1 minute and 36 seconds long that tells Beth exactly what to do. Now I'm going to go back into the persona of Bill because, like I said earlier, I've taken some time to really go in and build wiki content and training content that's relevant to my business. Not just to how to use SharePoint, but how to use SharePoint for my business. So in this case, I've got a legal portal, and I've got a corporate document library. Now, I've already gone over and built a governance site that talks about file naming conventions, and I also want to make sure that everyone who uploads documents to this library converts them to PDF. So how do I do that? Well, with Content Panda, I can jump right into editor mode. So here we are with the orange Panda in editor mode. And you notice that we also changed the branding out here a little bit. This company likes Mario Brothers, so they changed the logos to Mario Brothers. And you'll notice as I move around the screen here, I'm highlighting, or Content Panda is highlighting, areas that I can tag and add content. So in this case, I want to add some content here, get it in context for my users for the legal document library. So I right-click, I'm going to select Publish, and we're going to call this the Corporate Document Library. And this one's going to be brought to us by Fpweb. And I'm going to put in, let's see here, follow corp policy and convert to PDF. All right, so now I save this and I get a bunch of new tabs up here. The first thing I want to do is I want to add a link. So I'll go back over to my IT governance site where I actually have a wiki article about file naming recommendations that I've put out here for all my SharePoint users. Now, this is great content, but people are still sending me that email going, hey, what am I supposed to do? And I still have to reply with an email of, hey, here's a link to our wiki. When you get a chance, please go read all 400 pages, and then you'll do a better job working with SharePoint. Well, instead, I can just copy this URL, click Add a Link, and type in, please follow corporate policy for file naming. And I'll just drop that URL right in here and hit save. And let's put in a video. All right, now I've got a video out on YouTube. You guys can use the Microsoft Office video tools that are out now. And any video service that will allow you to embed will work. So I'm just going to go down to this YouTube video that's 5 minutes long on how to convert documents to PDF. And I'll select embed. I'm going to change the size to 320 because it's kind of a small dialog. And I'm going to copy this. Let's see, convert files to PDF. And save. Okay, so now I've highlighted the area on the page. I've tagged it with content. So the next time a user goes to our legal document library and turns on Content Panda, you'll see this section now is highlighted. When I tap or click on the Panda, I get my corporate document library brought to us by Fpweb. Please follow corporate policy for file naming. When the user clicks on that, it opens up a new tab, so when they're done reading the file naming recommendations, they can just close that tab and they're right back where they were, and they can click and watch the video and go to full screen or out to YouTube to watch other related videos as well. So now you can see how we can take our policies, our governance, our knowledge base, our learning tools, and really overlay them and put them in context so end users can get that content just in time, right where they need it. So some of the benefits of in-context training: you can accelerate your SharePoint strategy, getting better adoption. You can cut down on some of those support costs. And you've already spent money on SharePoint, or you're thinking about spending money on SharePoint. This is a way to make sure that people get the most out of it, maximizing your investment. It's really fun to use. We've had customers tell us that even if they don't use Content Panda, just knowing that the Panda is there when they need it, they feel more confident, they have more fun, and they feel like they're empowered to go get their work done in new creative ways. So simplify your SharePoint sites with Content Panda. And I think this is where I hand back to Fpweb, who we thank you for the opportunity to be able to show this off. And we have some time for questions and answers.
Great, thanks, Simeon.
You bet.
And I have to say, this is one of the FP webinars that we actually end within 20 minutes, so great job.
We tried to keep it simple.
And we do have a couple questions here on the panel. The first one is, which versions of SharePoint does this product support and work with?
So we built this version to work with SharePoint 2013 on-premise and Office 365, and we're keeping up with the content and the changes in Office 365 because we've partnered closely with Microsoft to make sure that as they're rolling out changes, we're making changes to Content Panda if needed, as well as updated content for new features that are coming out. For SharePoint 2013, you can download our WSP if you go to our website. You can download the app file and install it in your on-premise environment. And the third way you can install Content Panda is just a script reference, just like installing a Google Analytics tag in your master page. So there's some few options depending on how you want to deploy. And if you're asking yourself, gosh, I do have Office 365, or I do have a SharePoint 2013 environment, we do have a free version that you can just go start playing with in a sandbox or on just a single site.
Okay, great. We have another question here. Can you host this across an intranet and extranet and hybrid without duplicating efforts?
Absolutely. If your users have access outbound, outside the firewall, then our installation, you just reference our cloud service. If you have a lockdown intranet/extranet where people are required to VPN, you can either put an exception in the firewall to reference our services or install the Content Panda services inside the firewall.
Okay, great. And this is really cool. How much does it cost?
How much does it cost? We have a couple of licensing programs, and we go, it's by user, by month, and if you go up to our website, you click on Get Panda and schedule a live demo. We'll sit down with you, talk about your specific needs, and work out a licensing program that makes sense. I know, I just dodged that one, right?
Okay, great. I guess that wraps up our latest FP webinar. We appreciate the time and the information. And actually, one last question just popped in is, do you offer enterprise pricing?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And again, feel free to reach out to Heather or Simeon through their website, contentpanda.com, and you'll be receiving a recorded version of this webinar through email. And we hope that you'll share it within your organization and reference it at a later time. You're also going to have one quick survey as you exit to ask you about other topics you might want to see in our next FP webinar. So with that, I will say thank you and have a great day.